All right, boys. So I'm currently in the middle of working on a talk about every Western Conference team video. But Wemby dropped 38. Spurs, of course, had the comeback win against the Suns. They beat them again here, and it just feels like a moment that you talk about, you know? So, of course, Wemby had a number of highlight things here, you know, pull up threes at his size and all of it. But we're going to get to the real entertaining stuff, which is we're going to talk about his screen setting. So, a small example being like he's setting a screen for, I think it was like Trey Jones, and he slips the screen, and so it forces Devin Booker to pick up Wemby on a switch for a second, and then eventually Nurkic came over, but by then it was too late. And it's just like, that's just a very tough spot to be in as a defense, you know? Another time where Wemby was at center, this was later on, I think late third, where Book ends up on him again, and so Booker is fighting like hell, and eventually the Spurs just swing it once again to Trey Jones, top of the key, just throw it up there. Nobody has a shot at getting it, you know? And I mentioned Wemby at center, and like obviously Zach Collins and him are playing most of the time together, but you do see these windows of time with Wemby at center, so you can tell the Spurs are thinking about it a little. I mean, you know, I'm looking at one, he's at center, where it's Grayson Allen who has ended up on him, and I'm sorry, Grayson, there's not a lot you're going to be able to do here. He just cuts from the top of the key with the paint being wide open. It's a lob from Malachi Branham, and it's like Grayson Allen and Okogie are doing everything they can to try to disrupt him. You just got no shot, you know, it's crazy. You got another one where he slips a screen early, so now Eric Gordon is forced to switch onto him, and so Keldon Johnson just basically says, I'm just going to throw it over there because I know only he can get it, you know, and then you got Okogie, Grayson Allen, and Gordon swarming him. There's no shot. I mean, the best chance you have against Wemby, if he's figuring this stuff out already, and if the Spurs are figuring this stuff out already with how to get him the ball, the best shot you have is being physical before any of that happens. Which is, of course, much easier said than done, and we all know that this dude is going to be a force for a very long time. We're just watching him make the climb right now. There was also another one I really loved where Zach Collins just screened for him off the ball, and at that point it's just Trey Jones, very good passer. Just, again, throw it up there, Wemby's going to get it. It's cool to see. And then you also had the time where, like, Eric Gordon was on him as he was doing a face-up, and he just shot it over him as if he wasn't there. It's like, yep, that's just going to happen. And, you know, early on in the game, when the Spurs, like, built the lead, the first, like, 3 minutes or 4 minutes, whatever, Wemby was just helping off of Okogie. And from there, it's like he's blocking Booker at the rim a number of times where he's, like, forcing Nurkic to make a pass out or whatever. It's just, the dude's scary, man. I mean, Grayson Allen, one of the early turnovers of the game, it's Wemby leaving Okogie totally wide open top of the key. He's just sandwiched by Collins and Wemby, and he loses the ball, we're going the other way. It's crazy. And, I mean, similar thing in the comeback. I mean, we all saw the one where he blocked Goodwin, and then it's Vassell the other way. Let's talk about the rest of the Spurs for a little bit. I might be spoiling just everything I have to say about my overreacting to the Western Conference video, but okay, at least for these guys. But I'm going to feel like a broken record on this one. Last year it was my Evan Mobley on offense. This year it's the Jeremy Sohan and Trey Jones point guard situation with the Spurs, because everything else is like, look, I know Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson are going to get their shots up. And we know that Zach Collins is solid, and him and Wemby together, they're huge, right? And shout out to Charles Bassey and Malachi Branham and stuff, but the Sohan and Trey Jones thing, it's like, look, Trey Jones to me right now gives them more pick and roll ball handling. Now, a couple things there. One, Sohan's still a very good passer. He had 9 assists in this game. I thought his cross-court pass to Chetty that took the game from 3 to 6 on a 3 was massive, right? And he did have like a couple of pick and roll or pick and pops with like Zach Collins. So there's a little bit of there with Sohan, but Trey Jones, you know, he's just a little more shifty. Obviously, Trey is not the dynamic pull-up shooter that terrifies a defense the second he comes around a screen, but he is still the Spurs' best chance at just today, can we run a pick and roll with our point guard? Who's our best chance? It's Trey Jones, right? And I know the most fun thing to imagine is like him lobbing it up to Wemby or whatever, but it's also like, you know, finding Zach Collins on a bounce pass on the roll to where he's in a good spot to get it, or it's a lob to Charles Bassey on a, you know, one of the plays today in this game. And again, Sohan, good passer as well. It's just, you know, Trey Jones, similar to his brother, I mean, he's one of the assist to turnover kings of the league, right? Where just that consistency, possession to possession, you know what I'm saying. Trey had 10 assists in this game, by the way. And that's not just for Trey to, like, make the next obvious play to somebody, but it's also, like, just gets the ball zipping around, that sort of thing, you know? Of course, Sohan defensively, I mean, we all see what he is already and how great he can be on that side of the floor. So, yeah, they'll probably just have similar minutes all year. I mean, for what it's worth, we're very early into the season. I usually don't like to get too caught up in lineup data this early, but there is one consistent theme on the Spurs in terms of lineups, which is if Trey Jones is in the game, they're a much better team. So there you go. And also, you could play them together. That's not like an unheard of concept. They've played like 27 minutes together throughout the year so far.